Right bro, decent neutral, and hard to open up. However, the professor added one dangerous chemical. No assists. Sup fellas, Panda here. Today we're going to be talking about Champion and kinda how he's a struggler in Marvel Tokon. I want to start by saying a lot of his weaknesses I wouldn't change because I think he has one of the coolest designs I've ever played in a tag fighter grappler. It's important to know why these weaknesses equal the state that he's in. I'm hoping you guys will enjoy this video. If you do, be sure to like it. If we get about 100 likes, I'll post some turtle pictures in the community notes. Alright, I'll just say that now. But the goal of today's video is to talk about the strengths of Champion, why he stands out, a lot of the cooler stuff he has, and then break down why he sucks. Like, I don't think we're going to see this guy in a top 8 tournament. Maybe an online, but an offline, we're going to need some like Snake Eyes Violet's character for a long time in the hopes of seeing that. But let's get started with everything that he does well. He has fantastic stagger pressure. Genuinely, when he gets started, he can kind of stagger like crazy, as his 5H puts him at a distance where you can't punish his fireball. And being able to stagger like hell is very strong for grappler game plans. You can either threaten the command grab, the fireball, or maybe do some spacing trap and whiff punish the opponent, try catch you doing one of the options. 5M to 5H catches jumping, obviously mashers, so again the staggers are good. He's a really good staggerer. His strike throw game plan makes his offense a bit unorthodox to deal with. Being able to choose between a strike that does a lot of damage or command grab that builds champion status and gives you a lot of meter is certainly good for mix. It can be tricky for your opponent to get used to that type of grappler mentality, as the game doesn't really have one until they fight Champion, so it's a bit weird. His command grab gives a ton of meter on hit. If you do the grab and then into the taunt follow-up that leaves you a +2 if they roll at you, you get about 48 meter. It's a lot of meter that you're going to get just from a simple command grab, so if he gets a grab off, that's brutal. He's getting a lot. Just like that, one B&B is going to do a ton now. And of course, the Oki after throw is good. Being able to stand between where the opponent can roll, 5M will reach both ways, and then you can react to the roll and do what you want. So he's got good options across the board. And he is fantastic at dishing out damage. One of the more damaging characters by himself. Like Iron Man, he has to do a bunch of loops to get this type of damage. This guy, he's just dumping off of 5Hs. His damage being high does have some caveats that we'll get into, but yeah, he's able to delete health bars off of the correct hit, and that makes him very scary to fight, because if we're at the start of the round and he gets 25 meter, as in you don't have many teammates alive, you take a lot, and if he gets a happy birthday, it could be a TOD. It might not be common, you'll see it, but it could be a TOD if he gets the right hit. He has one of the best anti-airs in the game. Nobody else has this, but he has an unblockable anti-air throw, being the dunk where he jumps up, tosses you down for the elbow drop. This is strong, as a lot of characters need to do 2H at the special can, so he can ignore a lot of that nonsense and anti-air you with the throw. I think really good players on this character will be looking to try and do this instead of 2H a lot of the time. It's very strong, and we need a little bit of time to see players make it work. He has amazing defense as well. His 2L is a fantastic mash out. He has supers that come out very fast. He also has a parry stance that will tank hits, and you can choose to do the heavy version for 25 meter that covers every hit and will get in and grab the opponent, giving you everything that you need. Oki, install, you name it, and there's a bug right now where you can land you grab immediately afterwards. That's going to get patched out, so I'm not abusing it right now. If I'm honest, I don't see the point in abusing something that's going to disappear within a week. And of course, he has one of the best supers for defense as well. His super, the Primordial Punch. Very cool animation, 100 meter, get off me, and he'll command grab the opponent. If the opponent isn't doing a jump before the flash, they get caught and they're going to take a lot of damage. This is a fantastic defensive option. It does come out in 13 frames, so if the opponent does have some type of OS they could do, for example meaty jab into hop, if they have something like that, they can maybe avoid it. And of course, when you go to the install, he's nothing but a good time now. A lot of the weaknesses that he had, the restraints, are gone. Being able to assist in neutral, having fantastic movement with air dashing and faster run speed. Tools becoming safe because you've got assist now. For example, the light kick being +2 on block because you can assist immediately afterwards. Makes his stagger game plan even stronger, and he's a grappler. And his command grab getting a follow-up that leads to combos if the wall is there, or leads to a wall break if you don't have teammates. I mean, at this point, if you've got champion status, you've got your teammates, right? It's just a hard knockdown you can work with. And getting assists is the best thing about it, there's no arguing that. But the assists aren't even strong because you finally get them. They're not hittable. These assists act like their own thing and cannot be hit, giving him some of the strongest assists in the game, like forward assist being an advancing attack that the opponent can't challenge. As it'll hit assist and the opponent try to do something, it goes very high up for the hitbox. Back assist being a very slow one, hard to set up, and overhead, letting you set up unblockable cells where it's high-low at the same time. It can be very nasty. Now don't get me wrong, you can't do it the same frame, but you can do high-low, like one frame between each other. It's nasty. Another thing about these is that it just does so much for his game plan. Everything that sucked is gone. That's how it works. That's how the assists work for this guy. These are fantastic strengths for a grappler, there's no denying that. Potemkin had something like this, yeah, people would say he's top 1. I even forgot to mention his neutral. He can play a good fireball game as well. He can just genuinely play fireball neutral with other characters. It's strong. But with the install, he becomes one of the strongest characters. There's no denying that. Like, if he gets the install, yeah, he's definitely in top 3. There's a discussion for that. Despite all these strengths though, there's a ton of negatives just as long that makes it just as difficult for this guy to work. And I'm not even messing, like, these negatives are a huge deal. Stuff, his movement is bad. It's not as bad as Hulk, because at least he can run about very quickly, but no air dash is a huge deal. You can run about, you can jump, you can double jump, but the air dash, it really adds a lot to attack fire having that type of mobility, and it does suck. It does have advancing moves like Hulk, but unlike Hulk, they're bad because he doesn't have assist. If any of these advancing moves hit, they're pretty good. You can get Oki from them, and if it's one of the heavier version, you get a heavy combo from it, right? The big boot is fantastic when placed well. However, when not placed well, it's -12. And what does that mean? You don't have assist to cover it. Not having assist affects so much of the game that you don't even think about. The boot that's -12 will forever be -12. There's no nuance there. The opponent can look at that and be all like, oh, I'm gonna hit them. That's all there is to it. When you're trying to play neutral against, say, maybe a zoner type or something like that, you can't use an assist to cover your get-in. You just have to get in. Oh, you're trying to go for an unsafe mix-up on the opponent? Well, guess what? You can't use assist to make it safe, right? You can't do that. You can get 2H'd on your 2-2M and that's it. Not having assist affects so much. It affects the mix-up, it affects the neutral, and it affects trying to play safe defense. It affects so much on this character. You'll get opened up, you'll get put into the corner, and against anyone that isn't using fireballs, it's difficult to defend. You have to rely on crossover a lot of the time. And again, the lariat being committal is such a huge deal. The medium lariat, the big boot that we're talking about, being -7, -6 at spacing is pretty good. It means it's not punishable, however it does mean the opponent is taking a turn. But the light version, giving no reward and being -12, feels awful. It genuinely does. And then the heavy version does give a reward, and is also -12 unless it's air blocked, then it's -6 or 7. Lol. This is a huge deal, as your getting being punishable and blocked cannot be covered with assists like we talked about earlier, and this just makes it so difficult to get in with the big boot, because the big boot is made to interrupt things, it's made to get in, and if it's minus unblocked to a heavy degree with no armor, nothing like that, and it's just fast, it's a bit of an issue. Thank God it's not Ladiva Lariat, but you know, it does have some issues. Now I mentioned, he's meter reliant. For a lot of his best plays or damage, he's extremely meter reliant. If he wants to interact with your fireball in a way that lets him win the fireball interaction, he does need to use 25 meter. If he wants to get a hit confirmed for a lot of damage, he needs to use 25 meter. Without 25 meter, his damage is very minuscule. We're talking like maybe 20%, the same as his throw mix, but with meter it kicks up to about 50%. And these are off at the same starter. It's insane how much 25 meter changes, because you do build that up fairly quickly, but at the start of the round you don't have that for about 2 interactions, meaning his meter and damage is very bad at the start. It's very, very bad. And of course he can struggle against zoners. This is a classic for grapplers, but he doesn't struggle in the way you think. If it's a zoner that relies on projectiles, for example like Danger, maybe Deadpool in some of the scenarios, but he's not really a zoner, and definitely Magneto, oh, he does really well. His fireball's good at countering stuff like that. However, if he's fighting someone with, like, I don't know, Ghost Rider normals, aka they reach across the entire screen, he's pretty bad against it. It's the same with Carnage zoning as well. He struggles in a way where he can't do his fireball, right? Because his fireball only tanks fireballs. It only tanks projectiles. Normals are not projectiles. To answer this, he needs to use parry instead, and that is way more committal to beat those types of options. Because if he's wrong on the money and he whiffs, that's a huge punish that's coming your way. Throw protection is also a huge mechanic in this game, making throws basically only land about 14 frames after. There's a lot of protection. I don't remember the exact number, but there's a lot. It's definitely double digits. And because of that, it means doing things like tick throws or meaty throws is a little bit difficult on the grappler. If you want to go for the throw, you need to time it insanely well, and if you do not time it insanely well, you'll whiff and be minus 40 in front of the opponent. In the higher level of play, this is important because players will come across better defensive tactics as the game continues. With something like crossover, there's going to be a ton of OSs, so you may be able to get absolutely beaten by these OSs. Throw protection is large, it means it's very easy to go for a fuzzy jump, fuzzy mash, and just like that, you're getting beaten. And this is one of the key points. I wouldn't change this at all. I think it should stay the way it is. Its champion meter, its champion gauge, takes forever to build up. I think the fastest that you could get champion meter is on round 2. That's if you're playing really well and taunting a lot. However, if that doesn't happen, on average, you'll see the champion gauge about round 3 or 4. And the fact that you're seeing it on a round that you can lose, or you're seeing it on a round that's probably tight, that's a bit crappy. More than often than not, you're going to probably win without the champion gauge being full if you're stomping, and if you're losing, you'll never see it unless you go for a Tokon. I do like the Tokon being a thing to like get it in and get in your install, but it is still relying on 150 meter, you know? It's like, I get it, fair enough, you know, the champion status is very strong, so I understand locking it behind a lot, but it can be brutal building up that taunt gauge. Hell, I'm watching Snake Eyes sets, and this guy does not go for install ever. He doesn't care. He's just playing the grappler. That leads into the next issue. Getting the install state requires you to land a raw command grab. Keyword raw. It has to be the anti-air, the grounded, or the DP. And because of that, it means that you need to make a clean read, and if you're wrong, the gauge goes back down, which is punishing. You need to build it back up and then do the same thing again. Either looking out for a parry is a good idea, as a lot of people are very aggressive in this game, so looking for a parry definitely gives you the status a lot of the time. Looking for anti-air throw is not a bad idea, as everybody's very jumpy in this game, but doing the standing throw for it is almost impossible. You never get it like that usually. But yeah, it sucks going for the rocket man grab. I'd like if you could combo into it, but I understand why you can't combo into it. He's prideful, right? One thing that sucks in terms of gameplay, but I think is an amazing design choice, is that you need to choose between either damage, Oki, or getting your taunts up. This is a great design in terms of challenging the player of like, what do you want to do? I absolutely love that, but it can be difficult because you're like, I need to get my taunt gauges up, but I also need to, you know, do damage. I need to cash out when I can, but I also need my taunts. You know, it's very odd how you go about this decision making, and because of that, it's difficult to play the character. You need to choose what to optimize for, and choosing between these two things are vastly important. So it's tricky. This last bit is possible buffs that we could do to maybe make him better. I'm not in the boat of wanting to change his gameplay design, so looking at these buffs, I think you'll look at it and go like, you know what, fair enough. And if you have a problem with any of these buffs, you're an idiot. That's all I'm gonna say. Making H-Lariat on block safe would probably be a nice decision. I am spending 25 meter for it after all. Now I'm not saying make it 0 on block, I'm saying make it -6 or 7 like the medium version. This would make it so I can spend 25 meter for doing offense, and if I'm wrong, you get a turn. I don't think I should be punishable by an M normal, as M normals lead to a lot of damage. When you do the command grab into the taunt, this is a thing that you can do where you can do the grab and then he does a follow-up taunt where he goes like, keep fighting. You're +2 if the opponent rolls at you. This is bad, as the opponent can pick throw and interrupt everything you do, and because he has throw protection, you have to time the tech to beat the throw. It's an awful feeling being thrown for going for this taunt and you can't interrupt them. So I would like it if the taunt afterwards was +4 instead of +2. Make it have less recovery. Or you can interrupt throw with a jab, and you can try go for jab into throw or tech the throw, and you won't get Oki, right? The jab comes out in 7 frames, there's a 3-frame gap. There are things that you could do with that 3-frame gap, and you can roll back and just like he doesn't get Oki. It's very strong to make it so he doesn't get Oki afterwards, I absolutely agree, but if they roll towards you, I think it should still be an RPS in his favor, instead of just throw winning 9 times out of 10. I think that's stupid. It doesn't really create any brain function there. It doesn't make you go like, should I roll in to try and RPS him, or should I roll out to try and get away from him and take a little bit more space? Like, it should be like that. I think reworking how 2-2-L works is probably the best way to go. 2-2-L can act like every other 2-2 input, where it's like it's plus on block and an overhead. However, every single version of the 2-2 moves are reactable, including the heavy, meaning they're very 2H'able. 2-2-L gives no rewards whatsoever, like there's none. So what I would do to rework this is make it so it's a little bit less unreactable, make it maybe 20 frame startup for example, but I would make it so it's not plus on block, maybe -1 on block or maybe neutral on block, so the opponent has to realize what version they've blocked. So there's a bit more of an RPS going on these versions being used, and I would also make it so the reward stays the same, which is basically nada unless he uses meter. By meter I mean supers, right? It's very committal, you don't get a lot of reward. Comboing it to install command grab would be nice, but I get why they've done it. He's a prideful fella, he's all about pride, but I'd like it. It'd be a nice change. It'd help a ton. Landing a raw command grab, it's a very difficult requirement. We're at the end, and as you can see, I wouldn't change much about Champion. Most of those negatives, I would not change. That's his character, right? He's a prideful guy. I don't want him to have assists until he's built it up. I don't want him to get the gauge faster. I don't want him to have belligerent offense where it's easier to do. I want him to have offense where the opponent has to think a little bit more rather than just using an answer. He's supposed to be imposing, intimidating, and as a threat, you know, you're supposed to respect that a little bit, but doing roll-up throw during his throw is a good RPS. Besides that, Champion is well designed. I think he's well designed, but in a horribly balanced situation where the top tiers are insane, and he isn't insane unless he's winning. Makes you think. I want to keep Champion the same for the most part, and I can't wait to see how this plays out. I'm going to try take him to Scottish like locals and stuff like that, see if I can make him work. But until then, that's going to be me peacing out, Patriarch Panda, having a good time with Champion. I'll continue to make content on this guy. Be sure to like, hype, and sub, and of course if we get 100 likes I'll post a picture of my turtles. And I have a question for you today. What do you guys think about Champion? Do you think I'm talking a whole lot of shite? Is he stronger than what he seems? Or do you agree with my viewpoint that he's a struggler? But that is it for today's video, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!